everybody, welcome back to The Limit Breakdown, where we break down the latest in TV, movies, and everything going on in entertainment. I'm your host, Migs, and today I'm going to be reviewing Season 1 of The Acolyte on disneyplus. And our too long didn't watch review of The Acolyte is 2.5 Hearts. This show introduced some deep lore from the expanded universe into Star Wars canon. Seeing a kyber crystal get bled and turn red for the first time on screen was a really awesome sight, and the lightsaber battles were very well choreographed and executed. However, the protagonists for the show were very bland. The writing for all of the characters seemed very inconsistent. Their motivations seemed very inconsistent. And lastly, the most interesting parts of the show seemed to take place off screen. The stuff that was happening behind the scene was way more interesting than the stuff that we were shown. That's why I gave this show 2.5 hearts. Stay tuned after our intro for a deep dive into The Acolyte Season 1. Hi everybody, welcome back to The Limit Breakdown, and today I'm going to be talking about Season 1 of Star Wars The Acolyte. So let me go ahead and get some housekeeping done. If this is your first time here, just know that you can find us in anywhere that you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, as well as other social media, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. You can find us all there, find our contact, and thank you guys for tuning in. So we're going to go ahead and get started, give you my initial thoughts on the show. The premise of the show, as it was originally pitched to me, was that this was going to be a story more centered around the Sith, set 100 years before the events of the Phantom Menace, and so it was supposed to be kind of a more Sith central show, hence the title of the Acolyte. That was the promise. What we actually got had some interesting concepts, but I think ultimately failed to deliver on those concepts. The main protagonists, Amay and Osha, played by Amandla Stenberg. They were not. I don't know if maybe it was the writing material that they were given. I mentioned before that I thought that the writing was very inconsistent. And I don't know if that had to do with it or maybe it was a fault in the performance itself. But the two were supposed to be a yin and yang difference of each other, and it just there was yes, there were, you know, on one side, Osha started out good, ended up turning to the dark side, and May didn't really turn to the light. She just kind of was in the dark side and kind of just tapered away to where she didn't fully commit to the dark side. It wasn't very well. I understand that the Jedi are the de facto villains in this particular show. It's showing the seeds of the corruption of the Jedi Order that eventually allowed them to be infiltrated, and for that corruption to be taken advantage by Sidious further down the line. So I get that they weren't going to be the heroes of the story. I don't know if the approach that they took of making them damn near incompetent is the way that I would have gone about it. Especially the central figure of the Jedi Master Soul, played by Jung-jae. He was originally known as for his portrayal as one of the characters in Squid Games. He famously learned English for this role in Star Wars, so that was impressive in itself. I thought he had a very compelling performance as Jedi Master Soul, but at the same time, I didn't fully understand how they were trying to paint him as someone whose story was, or whose emotions had overtaken, and yes, like, he desperately wanted a Padawan. He clung himself to Osha, which led him to accidentally kill Osha's mom. It wasn't very clearly identified to me. The way that I interpreted it is he was doing what a Jedi would do. She was in the middle of turning into some sort of force spirit or dust, and then he ran her through with the lightsaber. And granted, the other Coven people were there manipulating May and causing her to start the fire. I didn't see it as such a terrible thing. I mean, obviously it was, because a lot of people died, but I didn't see it as something that they couldn't have reported to the Jedi Council, and it just seemed like a bunch of bumbling, incompetent mistakes, and then the cover up in the process. Like, even when May was confronting him at the end, when he said, I did everything that I did what I thought was right, and she rightfully mentioned, if you thought it was right, why didn't you make it to the council? And that was one of the interesting things, where her whole story arc, May, was, she was originally the one that was searching down and tracking down the other Jedis that were involved in that incident, to track them down and to kill them, and then eventually to the point where she no longer wanted to kill Soul, but she wanted him to face the Jedi Council. And whereas Osha, on the other hand, went from having had love for Master Soul to now force choking him, which, again, that sequence I thought was really, really, really cool, where she's using the force and choking him and holding on to his lightsaber, and at the same time, all of the pain, all of the anger, all of that anguish that energy is being transferred from her directly into the kyber crystal. And we see for the first time a process that's known as bleeding, which is where the Sith get their red lightsabers from. Is they take a kyber crystal and they basically infuse it with all of their anger, their rage, and their pain, and bleed that crystal to get that crimson red color. I thought seeing that for the first time in live action, absolutely amazing. I'm going to talk a little bit about the lightsaber battles, which there really weren't that many. There was two main ones. The one in episodes 5 where it had Chimere, played by Manny Jacinto. I'd known him from The Good Place before, so seeing him as a quasi Sith was interesting. He didn't get an official name other than Chimere, but the internet was giving him definitely their fair share of names. I thought Darth Thirststrap was pretty funny, or Darth Toothless, or Darth Teeth. That was pretty funny. But seeing him as a Jedi, as a Sith, potentially was interesting. He was supposed to be the master that May had been originally working for. And this goes into another part of my criticism, was the most interesting stories that were told off screen, and it wasn't what the main story was. Chimere himself revealed when he took off his shirt that he had a whole bunch of lashes on his back, what looked like whip marks. It was later revealed that Venestra Rowe, another Jedi Master, is the only one that has that Jedi lightsaber whip. And it was revealed at the last episode that Chimere is a fallen Jedi that was at one point a Padawan to Venestra Rowe. So to me, that would have been an interesting story. Like, that would have been the story of the Acolyte that I would have wanted to see. Like, how did this former Padawan fall to the dark side? What would cause this Jedi Master to put such injuries on her Padawan and still remain in the Jedi Order? Like all of it seems so extreme and seems so much more interesting than what we got. And speaking of Vanessa Rowe, her whole dynamic with the senators and the politicians, and just being that story right there was also very interesting. The senator that was wanting to get more investigations into the Jedi, you know, the line about the Jedi claiming to be able to control the uncontrollable, and she, you know, immediately responds with, "We don't claim to control the Force." And he goes, "No, you try to claim that you can control your emotions." And, you know, even going along and saying it's only a matter of time. It's not a matter of if, but when one of you snaps. And of course, that's, you know, foreshadowing the eventuality of Anakin Skywalker just slaughtering the entire Jedi Order. So I thought that aspect of it was way more interesting than the story that we got with Osha and May. And not to say that there wasn't anything interesting with them. It was more so that they weren't really giving all that much. I don't know how to feel yet about their creation being very similar to Anakin, with them being basically another Vergence in the Force. The line from Qui-Gon Jinn in Episode 1, when he was reporting to the Jedi Council saying that he had encountered a Vergence in the Force, and Mace Windu saying, "Around this boy, you think that this Vergence is around the boy?" And, you know, he spoke of the prophecy of the Chosen One, and about the life being created by the midichlorians. So the story with May and Osha is that these witches, these sorceresses, created them from the Vergence on that planet. But unlike Anakin, where there was only one, there was the one being that they were able to somehow split into two. So even though they were two separate people, they were actually one being created by the midichlorians. So again, it raised a lot more questions. It didn't really answer as much. There was some cool aspects of it. Again, some deep cuts. The first in canon appearance of what appears to be Darth Plagueis. That was kind of cool. Yoda kind of showing up. I didn't have as much a problem with that, because to me it does make sense. At the end of Phantom Menace, he does mention to Mace Windu about the Sith's rule of two. So clearly he has more familiarity with the Sith than some other people. I know a lot of people were hyper focusing about the line in the Phantom Menace saying that the Sith hadn't been seen in 1,000 years, and that Chimera showing up out of nowhere kind of, you know, broke the canon and whatnot. And again, what it seems to be kind of more what the Jedi Council wanted the public to know and what was actually known were two different things. So I didn't really have so much a problem with that. And to me, it makes sense that Yoda would be aware of the going-ons. But like I said, to me, the stories behind the scene were more interesting than the actual stories that we got. I don't know if this series performed well enough for them to get a season 2. I kind of hope that they do, because like I said, it was at least interesting enough to at least warrant some answers to more questions. But if they don't end up renewing this for a season 2, I wouldn't be completely surprised. Overall, I thought the show was meh. To quote my friend Linda, I was whelmed. I was not underwhelmed. I was not overwhelmed. I was simply whelmed. And I don't know, in this day and age in entertainment, I don't think that's good enough. And especially considering that they had a budget of, I think it was something like $25 million per episode. They really could have done a whole lot more. So that's basically all that I've got. Those are my thoughts on The Acolyte season 1. Let me know if you agree. Let me know what your favorite parts of the show were. Let me know what you liked, what you didn't like, or anything that you want to tell me. Any interaction helps us out with our with our algorithm. And we appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, don't forget to hit that like, comment, subscribe. It helps us out. And we will catch you next time with some more content.